Hello and welcome to the 25th in our series entitled The Mystic Bible, where we've considered a 500-year-old Bible with some of the mystical artwork that's included in it, and we've looked at some of the aspects of the supernatural within Christianity. So over the last few weeks, we've been through quite a lot of things, including making sure that we feel that we're in a safe place. We've looked at the idea of doing something that makes us feel safe and secure. We've talked about the fact that it may well be that people are having lots of these experiences and not really talking about them. We've also talked, of course, about how the supernatural in a lot of cases is being experienced by people, and certainly by the characters in this particular Bible, as a normal and natural part of the world around them. And perhaps that's the only thing that's radically different in our modern era, is that currently we probably live at the only time when the supernatural, an understanding of the supernatural, is not an immediate assumption. If you look back in most cultures, no matter what the religion or what the background, almost invariably there is some assumption of engagement, even in terms of governance and who's ruling the countries or whatever. There is some understanding that there is a direct correlation between the nature of our physical lives around us and the expectation of the spiritual. Now, in the last couple of hundred years, we've probably lived at this only time in human history when effectively you opt into faith rather than it just being a fundamental part of the structure of the world around. Why does that matter? Well, it may be one of the reasons that we experience these things slightly less often these days, because ultimately it is my belief, and this is about belief ultimately, my belief that God doesn't impose anything on someone that doesn't want to go through that. One of the children in one of the Sunday school classes I took said to me with great conviction that she absolutely believed that miracles took place, but she really hoped that they wouldn't ever happen to her because she thought that would be really scary. And once you'd experienced a miracle, then you would just have to believe in God. Well, I'm not sure it works quite like that, because I've certainly experienced some things in my life, but there's still doubt and there is still faith. But on the other hand, I do understand her point is that part of the fear, and we've talked about how the supernatural aspects are ones that we don't always want to talk about. Some of that fear surrounds not only the fact that we might look a bit mad if we talk about the supernatural, but actually that something might actually happen to us, and perhaps we don't want that to happen to us. So my little message today, looking at this peaceful figure of St. Peter, and when we contrast that perhaps with some of the dragons and monsters that we encountered in the Old Testament, is that if the experience of the spiritual was as peaceful and calm as we see St. Peter experiencing, I doubt any of us would be frightened of it. It would just be like switching off and letting God be part of our lives. But I think we fear this imposition, God taking over. So my reassurance today, my thought today, is as straightforward as you have free will. Along with all the other things that we've discussed, a very key element about engaging with spirituality, engaging with faith, is that part of the safety is in the fact that you don't have to do any of this. You have complete free will, and things are not going to happen to you, or very, very unlikely to happen to you, unless you've already put yourself in a place where you are allowing those things to happen. I think you would find that most Christians responding to any of these videos would say, yes, actually, it was when I was in a church, or when I was praying, or when I was seeking help. We had already invested in the idea that we needed something supernatural before that then impacted on us. So it's not a disease that you catch. It's not something that's landed on you from a great height. It is ultimately something that we choose to engage with. And maybe since we do live in this strange era, and I don't mean COVID for once, where we are living in a time when faith is not assumed, maybe that's partly why we want to keep safe and not admit too much to the existence of the supernatural. Thanks for listening, and hopefully you'll tune in again for the last one tomorrow, and then finally our special on Monday for the West Herts and Borders circuit. And talk to you again tomorrow.